doctors. In fact, since Dr. Tiller's murder, I have started training 2 new physicians, both what I call them second career physicians. They're both well established in their primary medical fields, and they want to give something back to the community, and they've came to me asking me to train them in abortions. I also have a list of about a dozen abortion providers already that want to be trained to do the late second and the third trimester abortions and take them back to their home states. So I think that's been a catalyst, even though we tremendously missed the loss of Dr. Tiller. It has helped to galvanize the movement for abortion providers, and even medical students for choice have came out now, and they're starting to become more vocal and demanding training in their own institutions.
The guy screaming, "Howard Dean is a baby killer," is Randall Terry. He may look familiar to you because he makes a living doing this. The day after the Kansas abortion doctor George Tiller was assassinated, Mr. Terry gave a press conference calling Dr. Tiller a mass murderer and saying that he reaped what he sowed. Shortly thereafter, Dr. Warren Hearn, one of a handful of doctors in the U.S. who still does late abortions, gave a speech in Denver in which he said that in August 1993, Randall Terry on the National Christian Radio Broadcast Network invited his listeners to assassinate Dr. Hearn. Randall Terry founded a group called Operation Rescue. Although he is no longer with that group has now sent out a fundraising appeal celebrating the fact that Dr. Tiller's clinic in Kansas has been closed since his assassination. And they're calling for action this weekend against another doctor who does abortions. His name is Dr. Leroy Carhart. He practices in Nebraska. In an online fundraising appeal showing both a picture of Dr. Carhart and a picture of his clinic, Operation Rescue says, quote, "This is Leroy Carhart. Now he plans to take Tiller's place as the #1 late-term abortionist in America. With your help, we can stop him. Now that George Tiller's mill is closed forever, Leroy Carhart plans to take his place and open a new late-term abortion mill in addition to the filthy butchering mill he already operates in Nebraska. And this is where Operation Rescue comes in. As you know, our years of fighting George Tiller makes us highly experienced in how to peacefully and legally shut down these late-term abortionists. We will be in Omaha and at Carhart's abortion mill on August 28th and 29th to encourage and train pro-lifers who are working with us on this project to stop Carhart from becoming the next George Tiller. So Carhart's days in Nebraska could be numbered." The head of Operation Rescue then signs the letters, "Yours for the babies," and asks for donations. Women's groups across Nebraska and Kansas and other states are asking for counter-protesters to show up on Saturday in Nebraska, as well as to block the Operation Rescue folks. In the middle of it all, there stands our next guest. Joining us now is Dr. Leroy Carhart, friend and colleague of the late Dr. George Tiller. He's one of the few remaining doctors in this country, aside from Dr. Hearn, who performs late abortions. Tomorrow and Saturday, he will face protesters from the Wichita-based anti-abortion group Operation Rescue. Dr. Carhart, thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you for inviting me, Ms. Madow.
I know that you've had a long history of dealing with protesters and threats. How are you and your staff preparing for this weekend?
Well, we are still seeing patients. We have not canceled any appointments. I have to tell you, I'm getting a complete feedback of everything I say about 2 seconds later, so I'm having trouble thinking here.
Okay, I'll ask them to turn you down there, so hopefully this will still work. You signal to me if this isn't working.
I'll turn it down so I can answer this question. What we're doing with our staff, we had patients scheduled, and I'm sure that they were well aware of that when they made the arrangements to come this weekend. We were off last weekend, and we will be off next weekend. We are not canceling any patients. We have tried to meet with all the local authorities to ensure that, first of all, things remain peaceful, and second of all, that access for our clients is not denied.
Can you hear me while I ask you a question? Is this going to work?
I can hear you now. Thank you.
Very good.
Yes.
Operation Rescue is an organization that worries me, frankly. They blockaded Dr. Tiller's clinic, of course. They relocated their headquarters to Wichita because of Dr. Tiller. They ran Tiller Watch on their website. An ex-convict, former clinic bomber on their staff admitted to having multiple conversations with Dr. Tiller's alleged killer about Dr. Tiller before the murder. And their latest fundraising appeal is all about you, saying they want to shut you down. And I worry about you just as a fellow American, and I worry about anti-abortion extremism as terrorism. Do you feel like enough is being done to protect you and your staff?
I think the local authorities are doing everything they can. I think the national law enforcement agencies also are, but I think Congress needs to get involved. I think the biggest omission so far is to not identify anti-abortion terrorism as hate crimes. Certainly murdering a doctor in his church is a hate crime. Most of us that perform abortions are very religious people. We believe that abortion is both a moral right and a religious right. The antis think that they have a moral majority in the country. However, there are 41 different churches that belong to the Religious Coalition for Reproductive Choice. They all support abortion as an option. Of course, not the option, and none of us, including myself, think that abortion is the right answer for every pregnancy.
Newsweek wrote a long profile of you this month, and they noted in that profile that before so many doctors were killed in the 90s, there were something like 2,700 doctors in the U.S. who did abortions as part of their practice. The most recent numbers say that it's down to about 1,800 now. It's been a very big drop-off. Do you, because you're so much in the spotlight, do you hear from doctors and medical students considering whether or not to include abortion in their practice?
I have heard quite a bit from doctors. In fact, since Dr. Tiller's murder, I have started training 2 new physicians, both what I call them second career physicians. They're both well established in their primary medical fields, and they want to give something back to the community, and they've came to me asking me to train them in abortions. I also have a list of about a dozen abortion providers already that want to be trained to do the late second and the third trimester abortions and take them back to their home states. So I think that's been a catalyst, even though we tremendously missed the loss of Dr. Tiller. It has helped to galvanize the movement for abortion providers, and even medical students for choice have came out now, and they're starting to become more vocal and demanding training in their own institutions.
I think the more that people know about that as a response to this horrible murder, the more people have hope that terrorism is going to work in this case. Dr. Leroy Carhart, thank you so much for making time to join us tonight, and good luck to you, sir.
Thank you.